And now for tonight's subject. I want to speak a little bit about birthing the wizard inside of you. There is a wizard inside of you. Now, before I go further on that though, I want to ask, what in your mind is a wizard? What can a wizard do?
Magic.
Or what does that mean? What kind of magic? Give me an example, specific example of something a wizard could do.
Be an alchemist, change one substance into another substance.
Yes. Some other examples.
Move us from one place to another.
Teleport, yes, that's true. Other things?
Mix magic potions.
Yes, and then do things with those,
That
yes.
affect people.
Yes.
Change realities.
So a wizard can be very powerful, it sounds like. Now, how many of you have seen the movie The Wizard of Oz?
Oh, yes.
Over and over and
And you remember that quaint little gentleman that was in the Emerald City, and the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodsman and Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion went to see him, all to gain something. And let's take the Scarecrow as an example. What was the Scarecrow going to gain from the wizard? What did he want?
brain.
He wanted a brain, right? And what did the wizard do? How did the wizard give him a brain?
Give him a diploma.
That's right, he gave him a diploma.
That's right.
And how did that give him a brain? What did that tell him?
Made him think he was smart.
Made him know that he already had everything that he needed.
Exactly, that's right. Oh, I thought I don't feel good exactly right. That's right. I already had it. And that's the thing for each of you, is that each of you already are a wizard. And you just haven't perhaps allowed yourself to be one. All of the things you mentioned that a wizard can do, you can't really do that. It's not some fantasy. You can do those things. Now, one of the key ingredients of being a wizard is faith in yourself. Faith in your ability to change your own reality to whatever it is that you want to do. But I want to start tonight by taking that term, because I've particularly named this particular night, birthing a wizard within you. Because it's like the Scarecrow who went and got a brain from the Wizard of Oz, and he wasn't getting anything he already didn't have. He just got recognition for that which he had. And so, if it will help you, you might also do the same thing. You might make yourself a little pin or something that says, I am a wizard. Because this is the birthing process. That's the first step, is to acknowledge. Even if you don't believe it, acknowledge it. Say, I am a wizard. I am a wizard.
I am a wizard. I am a wizard. I am a wizard.
That's good.
I named my cat Wizard.
Oh, very good. Was he magical?
Yeah, he is.
What can he do? Does he turn into a dog sometimes? He protect you?
Not quite. Well, I have a dog too. He doesn't need to do that one.
So the first step then is to acknowledge, even if you don't believe that you are a wizard, make the statement that you are. Say that you are. Even if you don't believe that what you're saying. It's very important that you say it. And just like you go, very long ago when we started talking about the master exercises, and you'd stand in front of the mirror and you say, I am the master of my life, my destiny. Now I would like you to change that for a wee bit and start standing in front of the mirror and saying that I am a wizard. And then you can elaborate on that and say, well, I'm a very powerful wizard. And I can do anything. I can teleport. I can be an alchemist and change one matter from one form to another. I can make potions and do anything I want. You use your imagination. And again, even if I don't believe a single word you're saying, say it anyway. And look yourself in the eye and start saying it. And that's the first step to actually birthing that wizard that's in you. And even if you don't believe it's there, I know it is. I know it's inside you. Now, the second step, once you've got the first step down, once you're starting to acknowledge that, even if you don't believe it, is to next begin to plant a little seed of faith. A little seed of faith that says that perhaps you might really believe that this is possible. And the third step is that you need to make a challenge for yourself. Something that you haven't been able to do in the past. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's start with something small, because you don't want to get too large a challenge before you actually believe in yourself. So start with something small that you really haven't been able to do for whatever reason it is, and challenge the wizard in you to make it so. Now remember, in all that the same two pillars apply that apply to everything else in life. And that's the first one is the energy transformation, and that's what we're talking about right now, is the energy transformation inside yourself. But the other part of that is the action that you take. So it's not a matter of just the energy, not a matter of just saying I'm a wizard and everything changes. That's a matter of doing the energy part of it and simultaneously taking some action for it. Now let's take a hard one. Like, let's say that about changing coal to a diamond. That'd be fun.
Start small. Small does.
Yeah, small. Oh, that's good.
Well, actually, you see, that's a good one, because you already know from everything you've learned and been told that diamonds are the same as coal. They're made the same thing, carbon. At least that's what we're told, right? So you can actually make diamonds out of anything you want. You can make them out of a piece of wood if you like, but because everyone believes that they come from coal, and that's what's in their mass consciousness, then that's the one that's easiest to work with. So you can start with that. And you could start and you could say, I'm a wizard, I'm going to change this to a diamond, and I say coal be diamond, and nothing happens. And that tends to make you want to say, well, maybe I'm not a wizard after all, we're not doing the right recipe or the right formula or something. And that's why you don't want to start with something like that. Because you can do that, but you don't want to start with the hardest things. You want to start with the easy thing. What are some of the things that you think that you haven't been able to do before that you might use the wizard abilities inside yourself to transform and be able to do? Think about it for a second. If you come up with one, tell us about it.
Remember my dreams
Oh, that's a great one.
and
Yes.
to be able to interpret the meanings for the lessons or what wisdom I need to know from that particular dreams. Not only to remember, but to know the understanding of the dreams.
That's a great one. Now, let's take the action part of that. So the first part is that you, the wizard, say that I, the wizard, whatever you want to say, how do you want to say a command, you can say, abracadabra, hocus pocus, I'm going to remember my dreams. Whatever works for you as the master wizard, then you do that. And that's the energy part of it. And you can really start concentrating and focusing your energy on that. Mentally putting that focus there, that thought there, that vision there, that's going to be happening. That's very important. What are the master keys? I'm going to continue with this example. So what are some master keys that apply to remembering your dreams?
Sleep. Vision.
Focus.
Faith. I don't know if knowledge would that, I don't know if that would be one for that. I guess it would be
Love.
knowledge and thought. Yeah.
And so actually, all the master keys apply, don't they?
Except for stewardship.
Stewardship is very important, because it's a stewardship of your own dream that you're trying to remember,
Oh,
see?
okay.
So stewardship is very important. Stewardship's what allows you to ultimately remember your dream, because you're having the stewardship over it. So yes, they're all important. So again, as part of the energy part of that work, of remembering your dreams, you're going to want to go through, before you go to sleep that night, and the more you do it, the more effective it's going to be for you. And start looking at each of the master keys as they apply to your dream state, and as they apply to remembering your dream state. And isolate what each master key is necessary to do to help you remember your dreams. What is necessary for focus to help you remember? What's necessary for faith to help you remember? Get tuned into those energies. And then you've set that part up. Now we go to the action part. What are some actions that you can take
this has been the harder part for me. I think the action part is to have, maybe have pen and pencil ready to write down just a word that will trigger myself. And that's about as far as I can think right now.
That's perfect. A pen and pencil, if that's what works for you. You can get a small tape recorder, just hit the tape in the dark and say the word that's going to help you remember. Because that's all it is. That's the key for that particular thing. Is a simple keyword will help you remember. Sometimes 2 or 3 keywords might be necessary when you're first starting, but as remembering your dreams is a very important thing. You should not wake up in a day and say, I can't remember a thing I dreamt about last night. That was all the troubles of your night self. Very important thing. And you don't want to say that I can't remember any of it. You want to remember something. And of course, if you stop doing that which you're seeing, then you actually remember everything eventually. Because you're a wizard. And that's the alchemy that you're doing with yourself. Now there are some other things that people would like to be a wizard in for themselves.
What about the aspect of knowing the proper lesson or knowledge from
Interpreting your dreams. That's the next one, right?
What was it?
Interpreting your dreams.
Interpreting, yes.
That's, again, that's an aspect of your higher self. That one you don't need your wizard so much for, as you just need very good communication with your higher self. No one knows you better than you do. There's no person on the earth or in the universe that knows you better than you. You do in your higher self. And so having that good communication with your higher self is essential to truly understand your dreams. Dreams, in the most cases, fall into one of 3 categories. And that's a very good beginning to understand. I don't want to deviate too much from our subject, but go ahead.
No, okay, I understand. What you're saying is really to communicate more with my higher self to be able to interpret.
That's right. And your dreams are normally a manifestation of an existing fear that you have, an existing hope that you have, or some type of message stream that's trying to tell you something about something. So those 3 categories are most of the time what your dreams are about. And so when you're talking to yourself, asking for interpretation, the first thing you might ask yourself is, was this a fear dream, a hope dream, or a message dream? And then once you're there, then you can go further down that road and explore it.
Thank you, wizard.
You're welcome, wizard. Are there some other things that you might want to use your wizard powers on anyone?
I'd like to make my weaknesses into my strengths.
That's excellent. And everyone, speaking of that subject, a few weeks ago we had talking about that, and everyone was going to be working on their weaknesses, at least one at a time. Has everyone been doing that?
Yes.
No.
A little bit.
Those of you who have do, would you like to give us an update on how things are going?
Rejection. We worked on, I have a friend staying with me, and we worked on rejection. To change it to I accept. And it was done.
Excellent.
It was done almost immediately.
That's magic. How about others? I'd like to share lots of you.
Well, I feel like one of mine was to have more patience, and of course I've been working on the newsletter. That was what I was getting a little impatient with learning the program, but I feel like I've been more patient. Yeah, I haven't heard you blow up about it.
Speaking of the newsletter, Shiliana did a wonderful job with that. And about others, what have you been working on? What are the weaknesses that are making into your stream?
Well, mine is to listen more to people, to not override them when they're talking or interject. And I think I've been doing better. I feel like I have. I've caught myself a few times at least. So. I haven't been around the group too much since then. So.
the others on that theme? All right.
Mine was patience also. And I stop now when I get trying to get something open from the market and wrapped in cellophane. I have scissors in the kitchen. But any little things that are especially, what's the word I want to use, technical or something that is difficult for me to do, I just stop and say, now have patience. So I've been doing that. That's helped.
This subject that we're going to continue later at another date, because tonight I particularly want to talk about birthing the wizard. And I think in the past I've given you too many things at one time, too much of a picture, and it overwhelms people, and they don't do any of it. So tonight I want to talk about the steps for birthing the wizard, which we've done. That's inside each of you. And I would like everyone to start that if you, as your own master, decide that that's to your benefit to do that. And report back to us on your process for birthing the wizard. Now the first step that you have to do is to choose something that you want to exercise your wizard powers in, such as remembering your dream state, your night self-wanderings. And then you have to follow the steps that we've outlined tonight. And if you have any questions on the birthing process of the wizard, I'd like to answer them for you.
So, in general, we would be applying the master keys to any of the things that we're wanting to have the wizard part of us incorporate.
That's absolutely right. The master keys, given so long ago it seems to everyone, are very, very important. Do what you need to do to use those. Look at the symbol of the master key. Say the master key, because there's that sound each key brings in, just like the energy centers brings in the keys. Even it doesn't matter what language it's in. You can say love in English, or you can say amor in another language. That's the same energy because you know what it means. And so it brings that energy in. Do you have any questions on anything else that?
So that's basically all we need.
For the birthing process. The birthing process.
Okay.
That's what I want everyone to start with, is the birthing process. To start coming to, go to your master exercise in front of the mirror, but now do it as a wizard exercise. Pick something that you want to exercise your wizard powers on and start working on it with using the master keys in the manner that we've spoken about.
Okay, I'd like to just be real clear when you're talking about using the wizard powers on it. Would that be, for instance, if I want to get rid of a wart,
That's correct.
or if I want to lose weight, or in other words, anything that I want to do would be using my wizard powers.
Right. Combine with the two pillars.
Right.
The first pillar is the energy, which
Right.
incorporates the master keys. The second pillar is the proper action for that.
So I have to decide what the action is, whatever it is I'm going to do.
And one without the other doesn't work very well normally. There are some things that you can do just with energy, and there are some things you can do just with action, but most things work well with both of them together.
What about incorporating your energy centers?
Certainly, if that works for you. You're the master of you. You're the wizard of you, and you know what's best for you. What works best for your life.
And is it best to do it in a rhythm, say a particular time of day, every day for X amount of time, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter for that. Again, you're the master of your life. However, frequency, that doesn't matter. If you do it once versus doing it 100 times or 50 times or any number in between, the more that you do it, the more that it's going to happen for you. And contrarily, the less that you do it, the less it's going to happen for you. Until you get very, very adept, and then you only need to do it once, it happens just like that, you see. But that's one of the things that I see that is a hurdle for people. is that people aren't very patient with their learning curve. And they want to go from hearer, where they know nothing, to hearer, where they know everything, at the snap of their fingers. And they want to be able to do all the things they can do when they know everything. Which is that you can do things then with a snap of a finger or a blink of the eye. But that process to go from here to here, it's not an instant process. It's a process that you work and you develop and you grow. The whole sphere expands. Sphere, your personal sphere. I'm sorry, I'm mumble, I think.
And then it's that interesting accent.
I can't change it if I don't like that.
Something that I found really powerful, over 10 years ago in a class I took, was writing it down. 70 times a day, she had us do a little thing. Once a week, we'd pick something we were going to work on. We'd write it, a little phrase, 70 times a day. And I was the only one in that class that did that homework. And I'll tell you, it changed me. I was flying during that time. I mean, it was just a fantastic class. Everybody else grumbled and complained, and they started stirring up stuff in them, but they never brought it out and worked through it. And so, can you expound briefly on what writing it down does? Because I'm not really sure.
Writing it down, it's imprinting it in your car key. That's very important. The car key, of course, is the master key of your energy centers. That's why when the teacher wants to punish the lad who's done a bad thing in school, has to write it 100 times on the board, I will not do this again, I will not do this again, I will not do this again. And by the time, versus saying it 100 times, they said it 100 times versus writing it 100 times, there's a big difference. And about how it imprints on the person. That's a very good suggestion, Strondiana, and perhaps you might like to do that. Find something that you want to be your wizard in, something that you want to change for the better for yourself, whatever it is. Maybe that's taking off of work, maybe that's remembering your dreams, maybe that's making more money. And use that writing process. Can you explain it further?
Well, I was going to ask you, we were doing it 70 times a day. Is there any particular amount of times that has any significance?
Once again, the greater the number, the greater the effect.
Yeah. And it didn't have to be all at the same time. So like, you pick the amount you're going to write, even if you write it 10 times a day minimum. But it took me about only 30 to 40 minutes to sit down and write it all at once 70 times. And I was writing little tiny, you don't even have to be able to hardly read it as long as you just write it down.
What about doing it on the computer or something?
I don't think
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
for
same.
That's cheating.
Actually, we don't want to.
That's
You need
good.
to write that. If you're going to do
Yeah.
that, you really need to do is
The actual writing.
your reading is you.
Yeah.
That's you.
Right. Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. That was such a powerful exercise, and that really was good.
I really encourage you. See, I can't tell you to do anything because you are your own master. But I know that so many of you come and hear me speak each week. And it means nothing unless you do the things and incorporate them into your lives. And your time would be far more valuably spent if you did something else with your 2 minutes than to come to listen to me if you're not going to do any of the suggestions that I make. So I certainly encourage you to give these things a try. Choose one yourself that you want to do and do it. And let the fun begin. Do you see what happens? It is fun to be a wizard. And you see, even though you may be an apprentice wizard, just birthing that wizard that's inside of you, as you do this more and more, you become an adept. And as an adept, you're able to do things with a snap of your finger. You're able to use the energy only, and you don't need the action anymore. The action is actually a thing that you use while you're learning. And once you're done with the learning process and you know how to do it, then you can do it only with energy. It's so fun. And that's when you can do it with a snap of your fingers. And everyone wants to, well, I want to skip all the stuff in between, I just want to know how to do that part up there, the energy stuff with the fingers. And it doesn't work that way. You have to learn through the action part first. So please, experiment, take some steps. You'll go far if you do.
Can you explain, at one time in our history we had wizards on this planet. They were accepted as powerful magicians.
and that was part of the mass consciousness, that the masses believed in it.
That's right.
What happened? What?
Technology happened.
Really?
Technologies have replaced our wizards. Technology became your wizards. Technology allowed the average person to be a wizard. Before a wizard could say, well, I can go like that and fill up this paper with words, and now you with your computer can go like that and fill up a paper with words.
Yeah.
You see, so technology replaced the wizard, and that replaced the mass consciousness. Wizards were not necessary anymore in the mass consciousness because technology was able to do all the things a wizard could do. But the fact is that the wizard that's inside you can do a lot more than any technology ever will if you let it come out. Does anyone have other questions on other subjects? That's all right.
And well, talking about technology and its relationship to spirituality, and for a while now, you know, we've come to this, we've made science and empirical thought the religion, and now science is slowly coming together with spirit. I was just wondering if you see that leap is happening, that we will be able to incorporate more spirituality into science, and science seems to be limited in its technology, you know.
That's true. There are many things that are taught by spiritual teachers and spiritual doctors that are very advanced thoughts, that are very helpful for people. Technology, as you've said, has tried to replace the religion, has become the official religion of many, is the worship of technology. And technology and spiritual thought don't have to be at odds with each other. And it's not necessary for them to be. And as the culture becomes more advanced, they can go one of two ways. The one way is to be a total forsaking, virtually, of the spiritual side of the creative energy being, and the embracing totally of technology. That's happened in many planets. Other way is, well, they recognise that they're not mutually exclusive, and that in fact they can support each other, don't have to be at odds with each other, and they can help each's domain to be stronger because of the other. So that's yet to be seen what it'll be doing on your world. You're at the transition point.
Do you want us to continue with I am the master, Palantha, and I am a wizard, or a wizard, or?
That's up to you, Palantha, what you want to do, but I would suggest to do both, yes. So each time we get together, we just add another stone to the foundation that we're building underneath.
So do we have to wear cone hats to be wizards?
Actually, that's helpful.
It
Pyramid, sure, pyramid.
Okay.
It helps.
We can visualize it anyway.
Yes, it brings in the energy to that Alpha Omega gateway on the top of the head. That
So
particular shape.
that's why they wore those.
Absolutely, that's a very powerful thing.
How fascinating.
And certainly that, although it sounds funny, it'll work for you. And again, the thing is that if you do that, you want to make sure you do it out of something that's natural. The higher the energy that's in it, the better. In the actual wizards that you see, that's interesting. I've always noticed that most of the paintings that you have of wizards with their little cone hats, they're always black.
Yeah.
You ever noticed that?
Oh, purple.
There's some of the like that. In fact, the wizards that actually wore them, they're always gold threads. That's all the colour. They're all solid gold threads because that's the high energy for them.
To have another example of working as a wizard, to be able to talk to animals or communicate with animals. I'm having a little bit of a hard time figuring out what the action would be. Any suggestions?
Action to speak
To
with animals. Oh, yes,
being
okay.
able to communicate
Yes,
with
certainly.
animals.
I do a suggestion for that. let's start with a person. Here's you and here's another person. You want to communicate with this person. This person is very different from you. But you really want to communicate with them. What's the first thing that you would do to communicate with that person that's very different from you?
Use facial and body gestures and eye contact.
Yes, those things are very, very important. And there's another ingredient that's very important if you're working with someone who's very different than you are.
Send them energy.
Those are all excellent things.
But not the right
But
ones.
there's still one more that's very important.
Listening to what they have to say?
But we don't
Very
understand their language.
That's important.
Oh.
Yeah, perhaps they're from another country and you don't understand them. They're trying to communicate with you in some other way. But they're very different. Like for instance, let's say here's you and you live in your American society and you're well fed and you have nice clothes to wear and you don't stink because you take baths every day. And here's this person that you're meeting from some very primitive country and doesn't hardly have any clothes on and they stink very, very bad. You can't get very close to them. And they just look like they don't know anything about anything. And you're trying to communicate with them and they seem very perhaps agitated about something, but you really don't know, and you're trying to do that. But all these things you've said are very important things.
Smile.
Yes, that's important to you.
Unconditional love.
That's important too.
Well, you speak,
Yeah,
I would
that's
speak
right.
to them, even though they would understand, because I'm sending a vibration.
That's
And
very important. That's true.
Send
Look
them
at
an
them.
image, see it in a picture.
Non-judgment.
Oh,
Honoring.
hello.
Draw a picture.
All these things are important, but you're missing the single most important one. That's actually the same thing that works with animals. As before you can communicate, and this is actually a useful thing to know for the future with the celestial order of light when you start doing unification of the planet and mediation with different groups of people. As you've heard the saying, do not criticize your neighbour until you walk a mile in his moccasins, right? Take that and put it into this situation. You must think like that person. You must see life through that person's eyes. If you are so different from them, you're not going to be able to communicate with them unless you can see through their eyes and hear through their ears, know what they feel in their heart, know what concerns them in their life. You have to learn those things. Maybe you don't know them the first time you meet them, or maybe you won't have that kind of communication the first time, but you have to learn. Let's say you're trying to communicate with a cat, alright? You have to think about yourself. What if you were a cat? What things would catch your attention? What things would make you happy? What things would make you sad?
Mouse or bird.
Food.
What things would excite you?
Yeah.
What things would bore you? When you're seeing through your eyes, what would you be seeing? Remember, you're going to be down here, this low on the green. So put yourself down this low on the green and see what life it looks like from that size.
And so you get to empathize with this being, be it a cat or as I work with children that are nonverbal, they have disabilities, severe disabilities often, and cannot talk and often are blind. So you have, you can empathize, you have a feeling of what they might be thinking or feeling.
That is exactly the right word. And I'm glad you used the word empathy and not sympathy,
Right.
because those words are oftentimes confusing, so I want to make sure that's clear what the different words mean here. When you say that I sympathise with you, someone says, well, I got all this terrible problem and I said, blah, blah, blah. I say, oh, I sympathise with you. Sympathise means that I understand how you're feeling and I feel that way too. Empathy means I understand how you're feeling. I don't feel that way, but I do understand how you're feeling. There's a difference between those two words, sympathy and empathy.
So you're there. So how do you get to make the next step?
You make that step, the empathy step, that step will automatically, easily lead to the next step. You don't even want to have to ask that. That's the single step you need to do to communicate with people or animals, anything, is you must communicate with them as another. You must not be trying to use a translator and say, well, here I am and here you are and I'm going to use a universal translator to translate back and forth. No, you must put yourself to the same place that they are. Whether it's a human being you're speaking of or an animal. And you must, it doesn't mean you have to act like them, because we're talking about empathy now. You don't have to act like them, but you have to understand the way they are. Understand what they feel, why they feel that, what makes them feel good, what makes them feel bad, and why those things make them feel good or bad. And the more that you can be inside of them and seeing that from their perspective, the easier you'll be able to communicate with them. And when it comes to speaking with animals or with children who are blind or deaf and can't hear, if you can have an empathy connection, it becomes an energy connection between the two of you. And the reason I said that they don't need the next step, because energy is communication. And if you have that energy communication between you, that total empathy, that you know where they're at, not that you're sympathizing with where they're at, but you're empathizing with where they're at, the communication flows with that same empathy energy. And that which you want to communicate through your eyes, your smile, your movements, even if I can't see any of those things, you will communicate to them, and they'll know that what you're trying to tell them, be that an animal or a disabled human being.
So that's the action step.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
action step. That's a very big action step,
Yeah.
and it's actually the very key step to successful mediation among bad parties. That's what we do. Remember what I told you long ago about how system of light, and we want to mediate between two warring parties or disagreeing parties, that we actually channel into the body of each one of them for 1 week, so that we totally see through their eyes, hear through the ears, know every feeling they have, know every thought they have, we understand why they are the way they are. And then we go the next week and we do it with the other party, and then we act as the arbitrator, and both sides agree to our arbitration because they know that we know them completely as they are. And it's the same thing.
Well, that's the other thing I want to do as a wizard. That sounds like fun. It sounds like work, but it sounds like fun.
It's very rewarding. I've only had a chance myself to do it a little bit, but that is the key. You must see things through the other person's eyes and heart and mind. You're welcome.
A few weeks ago, you were talking about being was it a shallow or a shadow galactic?
Shadow galactic.
Shadow?
Yes.
Okay. That's what we need to do.
Okay.
Okay, right.
There are no other questions, and I'll say good night and thank you very much for letting me to be here again. I love each of you very much, and I'm going to miss these weekly sessions that are rapidly drawing to a close. So thank you very much for sharing your time with me, and I exhort you, please, to take some of the things that I've talked about and give them a try in your life. The only reason I even come here is that always to impart what little I can to help you to expand your sphere and be the great being that you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Philos.
Go on your way.
Bye.